everyone. Welcome to Real Talk.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the week.
Yes. Welcome to the week. It feels like a Monday to me.
Well, good thing because it is a Monday, which is why it's Real Talk Day.
That's right. One of the most exciting times for us on our schedule because we get to talk about leadership and
It
what's
is.
happening in the food industry.
Yeah. And what a way to start the week off by joining us at Real Talk. So if you're out there, hello, tell
Yes,
us where you're joining us from because we love it. But we
yes.
also know being in the food industry can be tough, right? There's
Mm-hmm,
a million balls, there's a million things going on. So to
mm-hmm.
have this little bit of time here with us, we appreciate you being here just to
Every
kind of regroup on leadership and get set for the week.
Yes. And we've been talking a lot about resetting,
Mhm.
right? Resetting our mind, resetting our who we want to be as leaders. That focus. It's this time of the year, right? We're coming to the end of the year. We're really thinking about who do we want to be going into the next year? How do we want to finish this year strong? And that really fits with today's topic, right? Around like resetting your mindset.
Yeah. Because I like how you framed it up because it's usually around this time of year that you're deciding, and it might be project to project. It might be, everybody has the different factors, but you might be like, this is what we've got for this year.
Mhm.
Let's gear that up for next year. Or you
Yes.
might be at a spot, like you said, where you're like, we need to push this one forward because we only have, I'm going to estimate, 60 days left or whatever.
Mhm.
So we need to do some big things in the next, 40, 50 days to be done.
Yes.
But
And
it's never too late to start thinking about where are you at and how are you going to make the most out of
mm-hmm.
the next season that you're in as a leader?
Yes. And our trending topic will help you do that.
Oh, good. Let's see what it is.
So as you think about your goals, right, for this next year, you don't want to be like the cat on the left, right, of setting your goals. You want to put on your glasses. That's why I wear my glasses today. For
Yes.
setting those SMART goals.
Yes, I love it that you pull up cats when we're both dog people.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's
But this is the cat has the total attitude, right? Like I'm setting my goals. Like
true.
get out of my way. I'm a cat.
Exactly. I'm gonna put on my glasses and do my SMART goals. I'm curious, Jill, because at this point, many people know about SMART goals, right? It's about being
Yeah.
specific, measurable, actionable. What R could be a couple of different things, but it needs to be realistic, or there's another R, and it needs to be timely,
Mhm.
right? Like people know the SMART goals, or there might be some other acronyms out there. But what do you think about SMART goals? Have you always used SMART goals?
Gosh, no.
Mm,
No, I haven't always used them and I don't always use them
mm,
because I think there are some items that fit really well and others that have more ebb and flow in them.
yeah, yeah.
So when I think about we are so at work, especially in the food industry, we are so driven by KPIs and meeting numbers and targets and due dates. Sometimes it's nice to kind of relax that and be like, what do I want out of the next 3 months?
Yeah. Yeah. And really think about the people side of things, the human side of things. We so many times try to do SMART goals, right? Try to have our KPIs, try to really align up to this very rational thinking is the way that we're trained. But when you really think about human behavior, right, sometimes we don't nicely fit in a box.
No, and as we always talk about, they are measurable. Behavior change is measurable,
Hmm.
but we know it is also a little bit more subjective.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so, how do you create systems so that you can still do the work to have changes in behaviors, especially
Hmm.
your own,
Yeah.
but it's not so hard set like if I don't have it done in 30 days, I'm a failure
Right.
or
Exactly.
it's a failure.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think it's around that. It's around the T, right? Around the time. Because sometimes, we hear it all the time in culture, right? Like, I want my culture to be this way by next year. But it's not taking into account all the humans that work there, all the things they have going on. So when we talk to our clients, even about timely goals, we really try to put in perspective that however long you've been dealing with your current culture or what you see as negative aspects of your culture, I like to double that time and say that, if you've been working this way for 2 years, you need to expect another 2 years before you even start to see that change across many different people, right? Like you might see it in your champions, which we want, those are your early wins. But to really be able to shift culture, I like to double that time. And for some organizations, right, it might even be longer than that, especially
Mhm.
if you go through acquisition or right, the economy looks the way that it is today, or
Yeah.
surprise this, surprise that, right? These changes around us that can mess up your timelines. And I think it's important to, when you talk about flexibility, when it comes to people, it's important to be flexible on those things because we know we have lives. Things come up so quickly that changes people's focus like that.
It is, and I think that's the big thing, especially as we're here talking about Mr. Kitty with his smart glasses on. Like, we always want to have goals that help us move in the right direction.
Yeah,
But humans, we have the tendency to look for the shiny things, whether those shiny, sparkly objects came up because we're looking to be distracted from what our actual work is supposed to be,
yeah.
or whether it's things that pop up that we didn't expect, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And behavior change is not about perfection, it is about the journey.
Yes.
It is about the incremental, how do I notice that I've moved from here to there, or
Mm,
that I see our culture has shifted from here to there.
yes.
It's not about, well, we're not doing it perfect 100% of the time.
Right. And that's so important. And I think when you talk about like us losing focus or things coming up or us wanting to lose focus because, we don't really want to deal with even that the conflict or the difficult conversations, so we kind of shift, right, and focus elsewhere. That's why it's so important, I think, to have a reset, right? A reset
Mhm.
on our minds, a reset on who we want to be, and that's really the topic that we're diving into today.
It is, and I love that you've queued this up because I think as we even talk about what we do here at Catalyst and really our foundation and coaching, a lot of people, because that word has been used so loosely, like, yeah, I coach that person, I coach over here, that people don't realize there's actually a science to coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the methods that we talk about using here. Those are the ones that help us move from this behavioral science concept to action.
Yeah.
That's what coaching is all about. And that's why it's so important today as we think about mindset shifts.
And you all know, if you've been listening to us long enough, you know that coaching is our magic sauce. I like to call it our magic because we sprinkle it on everything, and we really see the impacts once you really step into peer coaching, right, and really start using the science of coaching. You start seeing the shift in human behavior, and I like the way you said it. It kind of connects
Mhm.
this behavior, human behavior sort of concepts to real action
Mhm.
and change that we hope to see. And that's sort of the sweet spot that Catalyst plays in, right? Where we really help you with the action, right? Not just the concepts, what we want it to be like, the blue sky, right? We help organizations develop that. But the main goal is that you do something about that, right?
Yeah.
You do something about your assessment results. You do something about these things because people kind of get stuck in the early, oh, I need to develop my goals. We have our KPIs. Ooh, blue skies look like this. And then it stops.
Yeah. Those are just the hopes. Plans
Mhm.
are right, just hopes until you take action.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So, if, as Tia said, if you have been with us, then you know what Real Talk is about. But if you haven't, welcome to Real Talk by Catalyst Food Leaders. We're here to have honest conversations to lead people forward in food. I'm Jill. This is Tia. I always
Hello.
get the direction wrong. And today's episode is called The Mindset Reset That Every Leader Needs Before the New Year.
Mhm.
And Tia, when I hear that title, the question that I think is front and center is, what before we plan what's next, have we paused to ask, who am I being while I lead?
Mm. That is such a powerful question because it literally drives every decision that we make. It drives those decisions, not as a person, right? And even as an organization. I feel like that's one of the top questions we ask organizations. Who do you want to be?
Yeah. What do you stand for?
What do you stand for, right?
Because I can't understand that when you show me KPIs and metrics and data. That doesn't
Mhm.
tell me who you are and what you stand for. That
Yes.
just tells me something about your performance.
Right, right. And that's even on the personal level, right? Talking with leaders and you know, bring out the things that your organization is telling you that you need to do, or your boss is telling you, or even your team's telling you. That really doesn't say what type of leader you want to be. It's really independent of, right, the things that you have going on, because it's really showing you how, it's really telling you how do you show up.
Yeah, and when I think about companies that come to us and say, "Oh, we've been doing all the culture assessments, culture training, culture planning, but we haven't had anything move." Well, that's because we've been focusing on strategy and you haven't been focusing on mindset.
Mm.
And when you
Mhm.
skip mindset, all the other things won't matter because it mindset is more powerful than the strategy you have. This goes back to, is it Peter Drucker who said, um, what was it? Something eats culture, culture eats strategy for
Strategy.
breakfast.
Yes, yes.
This is why, because of the mindset part.
And I'm just curious, you know, even to people that's listening, and if you're listening live, put in the comments. You know, do you see that your organization or even yourself set goals each year, right? Do the annual assessments, do the every 2 year assessments, and nothing moves forward,
Yeah.
right? We get together, we have these strategy sessions, or we have these team meetings, and or we take these assessments, and we have all this data, and it's like, but what do we do with it?
Hmm.
And one thing that's really interesting, because we talk to a lot of companies, and the conversations that we have, you know, they typically say, well, we did an assessment a couple of years ago. We didn't really do anything about that. So we're looking to do another assessment. At
Hmm.
some point, right, you have to move past the strategy. But even just that conversation tells us where your mind is, right? Where your
Yeah.
mindset is and how it's thinking. And we can almost guarantee that if you continue down the path, you're going to be in the same spot next year.
Well, yeah, and that's because it only is focusing on performance focused metrics. It's only focused on this number didn't shift.
Mm-hmm.
And when we think about the that focus on, oh my gosh, my numbers aren't moving, whether that's as an organization, as my team, as my individual ones, that's what causes burnout and overwhelm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we're so focused on the scoreboard, which is important. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like scoreboards too.
Yeah.
But a scoreboard without considering mindset is
Mm-hmm.
exactly why culture doesn't shift.
Mm, mhm, mhm. Yeah, I agree. And and you're right. Like KPIs, scoreboards, they're all important. They're all important for us to do our jobs, to understand where we are, right? We laugh at SMART goals, but they are important, right? As you understand where you are and what you're moving forward. But you're right. If you miss out on mindset, where does each of my people feel like we are, and where do they want to go, right? What gets in the way of people? Those are the things that we don't explore enough. We just take a look at the scoreboard, and then many times, right, the people that are developing KPIs and scoreboards, they're having no conversations with other people, right? Like
Well,
they're
their mindset's in a different spot,
yeah,
right? It is only on, I need to make this number move. I
right.
need to go check the box. I need to work on my
Mhm,
task
mhm,
list. I need
mhm.
to make sure I'm, once again, hitting compliance. Do I
Right.
make it? Do I make it? Do I make it?
Mhm, mhm.
That puts us in autopilot as leaders.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're not careful, right, if you yourself don't know how to reset your mindset, right, really think about who you are as a leader, you'll find yourself going down that path where exactly what you're saying, where you lead to burnout and you feel overworked.
So, Tia, okay, I'm curious. Have you ever had a time where you realized that your mindset or like kind of autopilot was running the show?
Yes, yes. Yes. Let me share this example. It was when I was working for an organization, and we were struggling with sanitation, and our sanitation was so long, and we had to go through sanitation every 24 hours. And long for us was like 12 hours. Typically, a sanitation, an average sanitation was 4 hours. It's a CIP system. We ran it 4 hours, even felt like to operations, right? So you can imagine a 12-hour sanitation was like, oh my gosh, what's
eternity
going on? Right. So in my mind, and at the organization that I worked with, who performed sanitation was operations for the line. So they were really responsible for optimization of sanitation with support from the quality team, right, the food safety team. So we had issues, and in my mind, I know that the issue is really people. Right. Yes, there might be some system issues kind of going on. It was a new line. We expect for sanitation to be a little bit longer because it was so manual compared to the other lines. But I knew the issue was people. But in my mind, it wasn't like something I need to take care of. When in reality, it wasn't under my umbrella. So for me, it was like, you need to talk to your people, right? Like telling you need to talk to your people. You need to talk to your people. You need to talk to your people. Well, eventually it kind of blew up. People, like you said, really just focused on the KPI of I want shorter sanitation versus let me shift my mindset and have conversations and get curious on why sanitation is taking so long. It was all about we need shorter sanitations. We need shorter sanitations, right? KPI, KPI, KPI. So eventually I shifted and I said, how can I help? Right? Like for me, my leadership style is definitely servant leadership. And how I like to show up is how do I help remove barriers? In this case, I was being a little stubborn because I had a lot of stuff going on, right? But then I shifted and said, okay, how do I show up as a leader in this space, right? How do I help remove barriers? And so my goal was to help remove barriers on the floor. So I spent time on all 3 shifts, right? And I want to tell people too, it wasn't like I spent night after night after night after night. I spent sanitation time on first shift, sanitation time on second shift, sanitation time on third shift, just one. And I had conversations and I observed. When were people taking breaks? What issues were coming up during sanitation? You know, when were they calling the lab for inspection? How were inspections flowing? I literally got curious. When we talk about coaching, right, using those aspects of getting curious and asking questions and understanding where the barriers are. Just from that alone, we reduce sanitation by 3 hours. Just from learning what is going on, right? How can I help optimize what people are doing, right? There was a period of time that no one was there at the line and we were having faults.
So really this mindset shift of like, instead of just like, get the time down, get the time down, get the time down. It was really like, let's actually go talk with people.
Yeah.
And see what's happening.
And see what's happening. And it was so simple, right? It was so simple of, hey, like, when am I supposed to take my break? Does someone need to be here? Oh, this fault happened. Let me talk to my engineering team about it, right? It was just those things like that. And as simple as it was, right? I had to take time out of what I typically did to do it. But just that amount of hours got us down, right? Got us down to 9 hours. And even more optimization got us down to 6. So it's one of those things that I had to shift my mindset and think about, how do I want to show up as a leader? But then even the mindset from, okay, we understand what our KPIs are. How do we talk with people? Like just that shift from the numbers to the people helped with the numbers, helped with the performance. It's one of my favorite examples, just as people think about interacting with people, but also a lot of people in the industry feel like you need to have this grunt work, right, in order to succeed. When in reality, it's about shifting mindsets and being curious.
Yeah, because I would say that that also applies even as you think about, maybe you're not in a facility on a regular basis and doing that, but even if you're supporting from afar, like helping lead is really about the mindset that you bring.
Yes.
And didn't we just talk about this the other day where we're like, so often when we think about systems in food manufacturing, we're always like, oh my gosh, the risk is in the things we don't even know that we know.
Right.
Like, that's true, right? There are things out there that we're like, we don't even know what's going to show up and create chaos.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
when we think about leadership, if we only the risk that we have as leaders is that we're like, well, I already know how to lead.
Yes.
I already know what I'm doing. So I just need to keep doing more of that or just tweak a little bit.
Yes.
And I think that is the biggest risk that we have is we think ahead to the future of just we have generational shifts happening in the food industry at a massive rate right now. We have all
Mm-hmm.
this uncertainty. But if we keep leading with, well, this is how I know how to lead, it's
Yeah.
going to make it hard,
Yeah.
harder than it needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I recently talked to a group at Food Safety Consortium, and that was the message around people want culture change and this culture shift, but we don't know how to lead through it. Right. And if we've been leading, right, some of us feel like we've been okay, I've been doing an okay job with leading, right? Or maybe I think I'm a really good leader, but we've never been in this situation before, right?
Yeah.
Maybe similar, but in order to lead a culture change, especially a culture that we are embedded in, right? Like that's one thing that we also don't think about. Us as leaders being embedded in a culture and being responsible for that culture and then trying to shift that culture by ourselves, right? I
We,
mean,
we got blinders on.
we have blinders on,
I
right?
mean, we all carry blinders, but even more so because we created the culture we're in, so we don't see the gaps.
Right, exactly, exactly. Or we see it from an individual perspective, right? Not necessarily from a leader. Like we might
Mhm.
feel the burnout, we might feel like we're heading down the wrong direction, or my leader doesn't listen either, right? Like we have these feelings as well because we're a part of the culture. But because of those blinders, right, we can't see how to get out of it. We
Yeah.
really don't have the skills to be able to get out of this situation that we're embedded in.
Well, and that's why we're so glad today that people are joining us or listening in because
Yes.
to get out of that, it really takes mindset.
It
And
does.
so today, as you are thinking about what do I need to do, whether it's for the rest of 2025 or as you think about 2026, we have 3 mindset shifts that are
Mhm.
key to help you lead bigger, better, and more.
Yes, yes, yes. And so the shift number one is from performance to identity. And we've been talking about that, right? We've been talking about that in our introduction on how do you really shift from KPIs, right, to who I want to be.
Yeah, and just think, I mean, we have people that come into our programs and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not that great of a leader." We do have some that say that,
Mhm.
right? Like, you know what? Our team, we aren't meeting our KPIs. We're not getting where we need to be. I feel like my worth is directly tied to performance.
Yeah. Yeah.
How dysfunctional. And
Mm,
it's not that person's fault. Those are the messages that come from all around us that it's not about who we are, it's about what we do that matters.
right.
That's not true. The
No, it's
core person inside that we are is really such a powerful tool as a leader.
Yeah. And it's really dangerous, right? To have a culture where your leaders feel that way, right? And where their worth is tied to their outcomes. Because we know whether or not we're a booming organization, we know there's going to be years that's going to be tough for the
Mhm.
organization. And we want our leaders to stay motivated, right? We want them to still feel that value and that worth. We want them to still be able to be engaged, right? And still work towards performance. I mean, we understand more than anything right now how external factors can impact business performance.
Mhm.
And so, if you have leaders that's tying their self worth or their ability to be engaged and perform at a high level to their outcomes, you see that slip in the years that we're not doing so well.
Yeah. And I think it really ties into this concept of like when you know who you are and you are grounded in that and you
Mm,
know and you feel it like this is who I am, you don't have to prove yourself through performance.
right? Yeah, yeah.
And we understand performance is a big part of what we do, helping organizations move forward. That's our role as team members, as leaders in organizations. But we can't do that if we are not grounded in who we are.
Mm-mm. No, and who we are really does drive that performance.
Hmm.
Leaders who understand who they are and how they show up, they actually see higher performance. I was looking at even in the description we put a here we go.
Oh yeah, you had some stats that
Yeah,
you had.
that's from Forbes, where Forbes had reported that 64% of senior leaders, executives in the US organizations that they did their report, reported higher productivity and performance when their leaders have a growth mindset. So this is even without, right, without the harping on outcomes and linking, our own worth out to outcome and performance. When you have the right mindset, when you're really thinking about who am I as a leader and how do I show up in that way, that is actually what's driving those results.
It is. And, I think that even extends, beyond us as a leader, because think about our team or others in the organization. If we
Mhm.
only approach them because there is data, metrics, KPIs that need to be met, and that's our full conversation, it's
Right.
pretty one dimensional.
It is.
Like, you
It is.
need to see past the numbers to the people. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, really, people should be first and numbers should be second.
Right, exactly. Because the tie of if when you value your people, right, they really do have stronger performance.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that internal motivation versus that external motivation.
Mhm.
Where if you understand who you are, all the external things around you can't shift you. It's like being blown in the wind, right? Do you have a firm foundation that you're not going to be blown over? Or is a wind or a new shiny object or someone else that comes into the organization is like, "Ooh, have you all looked over here?" Right? Like those things are not as distracting if you know who you are. If you don't know who you are, any new regulation, any new fad, any new, right? Like
A
anything,
challenge, anything,
anything can knock you
you
off.
may struggle.
You may struggle, right?
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
I know this is on your read list, but right now I'm about halfway through. I think it's Unreasonable Hospitality.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yes.
it's been on my list for a long time, but I finally sat down and started reading it. And it's fantastic. And
Ah,
it's not like the concepts are all new, but this guy's a really good storyteller.
yeah.
But really, what he talks about is really coming back to taking care of people, like
Mm,
knowing who we are as an organization and taking care of our people first
yeah.
easily drives performance.
Mhm.
And so I think as when we think about going into 2026 as a leader, the first thing we have to think about is I need to do more than just focus on KPIs.
Right.
I
Right.
really need to have a strong grounding of who I am,
Mhm.
shifting from performance to identity.
Right, exactly. And truly be people first, right? Have
Mhm.
some action items around how are you valuing, protecting, motivating your people.
Yeah. But I love the second mindset shift that we've
Oh, yes.
outlined, which is going from urgency, right? Hair on fire all the time, every day,
Yes.
to intention.
Ooh. I love
Way
this one too.
Yeah, way too many leaders we see and talk to are, right, they're out there. It's like Wild West.
Yeah.
And
Everything is urgent.
it is, and it's because there's all these factors coming to them, and we're not leading one with that identity we just talked about, like, who am I?
Yeah.
Who's our team? What do we stand for? And so because of that, then we get into this place where everything's urgent, 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 and we're
Yeah.
responding or reacting, reacting, reacting.
Right, exactly. Yes, yes. And we know some leaders, right, that every time, oh, I have this to do, I have that to do, I have this, I have this. And it's like you have a team around you, but everything is so urgent. I have to do it now. I'm behind, I'm this, I'm that. And really what's lacking, right, is intention,
Mhm.
right? What are you intentionally focused on?
Yes.
And how do you expect that to shift
Yeah.
your
And
culture, your organization, your people?
yeah, and I'm guilty,
Oh,
right? I have totally fed into this. We are just shooting from the hip,
yeah.
even
Right.
if you all joke or we all laugh about it. But right at the beginning of the day, we have our list of here's what I want to accomplish. And like 30 minutes later, we throw it out the window
Right.
because we're inundated with all of the fires.
Hmm.
And so I've been there, but I've also been intentional as a human, not just a leader.
Right.
But
Yes.
how do I shift so that I have more intention in all aspects of my life so that I am not just reacting? I'm not
Yeah.
just, you know, falling whim to whatever everybody else thinks I should be doing.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
setting the path.
Yes. And you feel more organized, right? You feel more content. You
Feel more
feel
connected to purpose.
Yeah, yes, 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 right? You feel like you're doing the right things
Yeah.
versus like when you feel like you're firefighting, you're only doing things that most likely other people feel like are urgent.
Hmm.
Then you're right. There's like no connection to why you are here and
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Yeah. And yesterday, T, I haven't even told you this. I was on the phone with someone who called and they're like, I have corrective action responses due tomorrow.
Oh,
And it was really this place of do it now. And my conversation with them was like, okay, how do we, even though it's urgent, how do we still do it right?
yeah.
How do we start with like, let's do this part first?
Yes. Yes.
Because when we are in that whole moment of, oh my gosh, I need to do it right now, we can skip over the parts that we know are really important.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
whether it's something like responding there or it's something like, I mean, I've done this as a leader and we talk with our clients on this on a regular basis. When
Mm-hmm.
there's the conversation that needs to be had and
Yes.
we're like, "Ooh, I'm not going to do it now." And we also need to put intention in it. So it's
Right.
these things have to be together,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We don't necessarily need to jump into the conversation and do it without intention, but we
Mm-hmm.
also need to step into it and do it with intention.
Right, exactly. And that's really the key word, right? Being intentional, intention. And I love the piece of like, urgency saying do it now versus intention, do it right. Taking this time to really think about like, how do I do it the right way?
Mhm.
And I mean, even going back to the first shift is the reason why it's number one, right? Like you really need to think about who you are because doing it right most likely relies on who you are, right?
Yeah.
How do you want to show up? How do you want your organizations to show up, right? And many, many times, Jill, I know you've had these conversations too, where you're trying to influence the team and people are trying to go this way. And you have to stop and say, okay, what is the right thing to do here for us? Right? Like, what kind of organization do we want to be? Is it that or is it this?
Yeah.
Right? And for the team to really start thinking about, okay, yeah, we don't want to be that. We want to be this over here.
Yeah. And I think that's often where we must say we as a society are rewarded for going fast, fast, fast,
Yeah.
fast, fast. Well, you know what? I can make rework just as fast as I can make product that goes out the door.
Right. Right.
So, as you think about that, leaders, right? Nobody loves to make rework at a
Right.
rate that's the same as your line speeds. So this is where sometimes you have to do the whole like, we need to slow down before we
Mm-hmm.
can go fast.
Yes. Yes.
And
I love.
I used to think that was really hard. And y'all know I'm like a yoga nerd. One of the hardest things to do, even with something like a yoga practice, is to slow down,
Yeah.
make space when we have been taught that we should be moving, moving, moving all the time.
Yes.
But what I have learned from that is in that space is where clarity comes.
Mm.
That
Yeah.
is where you can think about who am I?
Mm.
What is my purpose here? What is the right thing to do?
Yeah. And when you experience that space, you don't want to go back. Right? You don't want to go back to the
No.
constant firefighting. You don't want to go back to the constant chaos. You really want to have that space for that clarity.
Yes. So as a leader, when you think about like, what do I need to do to have more success in 2026? Like, what are you actively doing to shift your mindset from this mode of urgency and reacting
Yeah.
to I'm setting up my day, I'm setting up my year, I'm setting up my team with intention?
Yes. Yeah. I love the comment too. I could be a firefighter without the fire school degree. Fully qualified, right? Oh yes. Oh yes. And sometimes I feel like we're obsessed with the urgency of it.
It's a dopamine hit.
Right.
Dopamine, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's
Uh-huh.
what's happening. People
Yeah.
feel good to be the firefighter and have like helped it go out. Well,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? We don't have firefighters floating around our house all the time because we don't need them. Same thing
Right.
at work.
Exactly, exactly. And honestly, we don't need them, right? There's a way that we can lead. There's a way that we can solve. There's a way we can be intentional that we don't have fires popping up all the time.
Yeah. And I think that leads into the third mindset shift we wanted to talk about today, which is control to curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we talk about firefighting in boot camp, we often talk about, is firefighting something that we have created because we need to have control of situations? Like, are we
Yeah.
contributing to our own fires, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's as a company or as an individual?
Mm-hmm.
How do we shift to curiosity so that we can have more clarity?
Yes, yes. And curiosity is, I feel like that's at the core of the science of coaching. Like when I think about the science of coaching, I think about how do we get more curious about ourselves and about others. And
Yeah.
you're right. And if we are in this control space, like I don't need to be curious about you because I'm trying to control your actions. I know where I want you to go. So I don't need to be curious about what you're thinking or anything. I just need to get you to where I want you to go. Right? That's the
Mhm.
control versus I have a goal, right? There's a direction I feel we want to move in. I need to get curious about what do my people feel about that, right?
Mhm.
If they had to choose a direction, what direction would they go in? Would it be the same as mine? Would it be different? I mean, just knowing that answer will tell you, are you going to get resistance and pushback? Or are you going to get people who are champions of your message? Now,
Yeah.
you might still need to go in the direction you need to go in. That it doesn't solve that, right? But it tells you something so that you can make better decisions in the future. And I think that's what's really, really key about coaching and why we incorporate it into the things that we do is because people miss those very, very, very important things and try to just go do or go and do the urgent thing or right show up in ways that is not really representative of who they want to be because they're trying to do this whole performance thing. They're trying to solve these KPIs. They're trying to do right. They're really trying to look at the outcomes versus pausing. I love when you talk about yoga and just learning to pause and get that
Mm.
clarity.
Mhm.
When we have it, we make so much better decisions, right? Which is why the results look much better at the end
Yeah.
of the day.
Yeah. And I once again, it kind of goes back to the stereotype of leaders originally, right? The original leadership models that were designed were really around control.
Mhm.
And we still have this really embedded into our many of our organizational cultures today.
Yeah, we do.
While we say we've shifted, there
Yeah,
is still power over versus power
yeah.
with. So this is happening all the time.
Mhm.
Just think, when something goes wrong, we're like, oop, I need to call my boss. When you ask someone on the floor, what do you do if something breaks? I tell my manager.
Right, yeah.
Because we've really, once again, celebrated like, yay, managers, yay, leaders, you fix something.
Mhm. Mhm.
And while we start using different terminology around this, right? Like, ooh, I need to fix this. So I use root cause analysis or I do corrective preventive action. Leaders that shift from control to curiosity step even further to the
Yeah,
10,000-foot view, the 30,000-foot view, and go, what's really going on here?
yes.
It's more than just, can I do a root cause analysis? That's a check the box, right?
Right.
I can do a corrective preventive action. But like, for someone to have this higher view of like, well, what's really going on?
Mhm.
That's when you step into this curiosity that you need to really create human centric teams that are, you know, flexible and
Yeah.
able to shift with all these uncertainties coming in. But if you
Mhm.
keep thinking you need to plug and fix and do all these things,
Right.
that's you're going to be where you are right now.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. The question of what's really going on, I feel like that's like if you don't ask any questions, right? The first question is what is real trying to figure out what is really going on here and asking people, right, to that question and opening it up. I remember the times that I'm super frustrated, right? Or we're trying to solve an issue. Taking a step back and asking my team, okay, like what is going on here? Why do we continue to fail at this? Why do we continue to see these issues? Why does this fire keep coming up? I guarantee people know the answers,
Mhm.
right? They have things that they want to do to solve. We just have to get curious as leaders, right, to understand where is that coming from.
Mhm.
And when I've taken a step back and asked that question, even at the end of training, right, during a root cause analysis, right, like we need to do the why, we also need to figure out like what is going on. Like we do these jobs every day. Many people that I work with have been doing this job longer than I even thought about going into food.
Yeah.
They know what is going on. I just need to open the space and provide the space to answer that question.
Yeah. As we talk about this, it doesn't mean that the I need to fix this has to go away.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very realistic side to what we do in the food industry where it's like, this needs to get fixed.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to address that first. Like we just had a client who moving into a new role had this kind of problem employee.
Mm-hmm.
Our first thought, or the first approach was like, how do we help fix where
Right.
this is at?
Yeah.
But then really what we did was pause and go like, what's really going on here? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how did we get to this spot in the first place?
Yes.
So it's sometimes it's two things where we do need to learn how to shift. But if you notice, even in this example, like this is all shifting then to curiosity to say, how do we not get to this spot again from a bigger picture?
Yes.
That's what those are the leaders that as we talk about going forward and whether it's job security or whether it's making a bigger impact, the people that can really focus on these three mindset shifts are
Yeah.
the ones who are going to be the ones people are looking for to fill on their teams.
Yes. Yes. So as a review, as you're thinking about your mindset reset, number one, shifting from performance to identity, right? How do I want to show up? Who am I? Right? Versus all the KPIs that you have going on. How do you want to show up as a leader? The second shift was from urgency to intention, right?
Mm-hmm.
Focusing away from those fires, really understanding how do I do it right versus do it now? How do I do it right?
Yes.
And how do you bring those elements of who you are to intentionally go after problems? And then shifting right from control to curiosity. How do you show up and ask the question, what's really going on here?
Yeah. 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 Those are pretty powerful.
They are. They are. And we're always curious, for those who are listening in, put in the chat as well. Like we want to hear
which one.
Yeah, which one stood out to you, but which one are you going to practice this week?
Yeah, which one stood out?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. How do you want to shift in your role as a leader, right? Even as you think about going into the end of the year and going into 2026.
Yeah, and if you're out there and you're thinking, how do I practice that?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Me, I'm good with our shameless plugs. We have our leadership, I have to say this slowly, leadership reset week coming up in November, because we know this is the time of year when everybody is thinking like, what is it going to be like next year? I wonder if I can put up this QR code while we're talking.
Yes. Yes.
Here we go. But this is something T and I every year do something where we help people think about the year ahead. And this year we've structured it as 3 days, 1 hour a day, where we're going to guide you through reflecting, realigning, and just taking a pause so that you can really intentionally create the plan that you want for 2026.
Yes, yes. So even as you think about this topic, thinking about where do you want to shift, right? How do you want to show up? What might this look like? Bring those thoughts to our leadership reset week, because we are going to dive deep into those things. We're going to talk about how you can practice, right? We want to hear what you've been practicing. Really think about it, right? This is our magic sauce right here, right?
So
this is our magic sauce to help push you forward to actually doing it, right? To actually doing the actions.
You get to, you get to see us here, but you get to experience this in a different way at the Leadership Reset Week. So if you're watching us on YouTube, grab the QR code or, snap it. It's going to take you right to the login page or the place where you can register with more information. But if you're listening, it'll be in the show notes, or you can certainly grab your free spot at catalystfoodleaders.com/reset-week. Yes.
Yeah, we're so excited to see you all there, and we're, for people who've been following us and coming to our workshops, like this is going to be engaging and interactive. It's free, right? It's free, so you can get this free reset.
Yeah. This is how we serve in the industry, right?
Yeah. Yes, and it's needed, right? As we think about our passion and how we want to impact the food industry, this type of reset week that's designed for leaders to take this time, right, and really reflect on how they're showing up, who they want to be. Like, we
Yeah.
need this as leaders in the industry.
Yep. It is time. Last week we talked all about rewriting your leadership story.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time to do that.
Yes.
Speaking of leadership stories, Tia, each Real Talk, I have the question
Yes.
about whether it's this topic or something that just sparked while you were listening
Mm-hmm.
or hearing the conversation. But what's one leadership belief you've let go of and why?
Mm. I'm going to say slowing down. Really, that, I feel like the things that we see around leaders, that leaders are going, doing, fixing, right?
Mhm.
When in reality, great leaders do have time to slow down and think and write and strategize and talk, right? Like, I want to like emphasize talking with other people, right? Having conversations with their team, finding out what's really going on in different spaces, building those relationships. It's not that I did not have those thoughts before, but it's so easy to be caught up in the urgency. It's so
Mhm.
easy to be caught up in the firefighting. It's so easy to think this is what my leader thinks I should be doing, versus actually taking the time out and doing my one-on-ones, right? And being intentional about them, or setting up time with people to really talk about a problem that they have going on and how I can help solve it for them. And sometimes those conversations, I feel like this is the hard thing about leadership, is that sometimes those conversations can take hours to do. And you're thinking, man, I just have so much to do, right? I have so much work to do. I have so many KPIs and performance and all those things. But when you actually take the time to be able to connect with people and to slow down as a leader, that completely shifts how you perform, right? It does shift those outcomes. It also shifts how people see you as a leader.
Mhm.
So I would say, as I've grown as a leader, how do I find more time, right? More time to, and well, not really find more time, prioritize, right? Prioritize the time to be more intentional. And that's something that I had to learn in my career,
Mm.
or
Love
be
it.
okay with in my career.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm. What about
Yeah.
you?
I would say too, it goes to one of the things I've let go of and I try is the whole my calendar needs to be filled all the time
Oh, yeah.
because without space, like we just talked about, and even people that we admire as leaders and we think of like, oh my gosh, they've made it big, like, whether it's Oprah or,
Yeah.
Steve Jobs or I don't know, insert people's names because there's a whole pile of them. But what they all talk about is creating space
Mm-hmm.
to pause, to think, to reflect.
Yeah.
And when we're in food, we keep thinking we need to go 100 miles an hour. And really, that is a detriment to leaders,
Yeah.
especially as you are trying to move up the ladder as a leader. You
Mhm.
need more time to think about what's really going on here
Yes.
because it's easy to jump in and help fix rework or do holds or form material or sanitation that didn't work, whatever, insert. But
Mm-hmm.
when you start thinking about the bigger, why are these systems not working?
Yeah.
Why are people not why is our culture not shifting?
Right.
That
Yeah.
takes a lot more space to think and pause
Mhm.
versus powering through.
Yes. Yes.
So, that's been kind of a cornerstone as we think about what we do here at Catalyst is how do you be intentional and how do you create pause?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we even see in our outcomes for, we track attendance, right? When
Yeah.
people are here, because we know when you show up and you show up for yourself, you get more out of our programs. You
Mhm.
get more
Yeah.
practice as a leader and the things
Mhm.
you're being intentional about. But we
Mhm.
see when people aren't able to show up that
Yeah.
they don't have, as much to be able to talk about and show in terms of the practice that they've done and the growth that they've had.
Yeah.
Creating space is important.
Mhm. 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 Very important. And I like the way that you even connect that to clarity, right? To get the clarity that you need as a person, as a leader,
Mhm.
right? Like, you need that time and space.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so we thank you for the question. We love asking the question around like, what are what did you have to let go of? Of course, we want to know for the people that's been listening, like, what is your shift? What shift are you making? What is your takeaway from today's Real Talk? For the ones who are live, please put it in the chat. We'd love to hear, like, what are you taking away?
Mhm.
How are you shifting this week?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? This is where it all starts.
Mm-hmm.
And so we always talk about leadership doesn't get better by doing more, like we
Right.
just talked about. It gets better by being intentional.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
yes, so that's today's Real Talk.
It is. I'm going to just show our QR code real
All
quick.
right.
Again,
Perfect.
for our Leadership Reset Week, we're so excited to have you all there in a few weeks. Again, really just thinking about who you are as a leader and how you want to show up. So please join us, take the QR code, sign up. It is free. It is all catalyst and interaction and engaging. So as long as you show up, right, there's going to be some shift.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So if today's show sparks something for you, please share it with someone else in food who's leading with heart and grit.
Yeah.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch the next conversation. And remember that when leaders grow, cultures change. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.